Hello, people. Well, I'm having a special session here this afternoon. Cover some items that we have talked about earlier this week. I'm doing it now because we may be cut off again coming Friday night and Saturday night, like we was here last Saturday, because we was telling the people about the fraud of the corporation, going back in and exposing the corruption of the court system, on how the people have been lied to, and how they have drugged us into these courtrooms all based on fraud. But going back in, I'm going to explain a little bit here. Fraud lies not so much with the public officials per se, but with the Bar Association. It is the bar is where we're having a problem with the court system. We've already discussed on how everybody has talked about the corporation. We've got a corporate government. How we got a corporate business. These courts are corporated. Nobody up until recently has been able to go back in and prove how they become a corporation. I've asked you people to go back in and get into your state statutes. Go back and read the definition of a corporation. Back in, understand what a corporation is. Corporation, by definition, is supposed to perform a professional service for the public. They went down and they list different professional services. Doctors, nurses, lawyers, auto manufacturers, whole nine yards. What we did not know all these years, how they defined the term corporation under the legal term of how they started it. We've got into Delaware, we got into their law library. This is where we pulled up the Corporate Trust Company of America, Delaware Trust, and Wilmington Trust. Get into Delaware Code. Get into their definition of corporation. Their definition of corporation is the intent, like I said here earlier, to perform a professional service for the public good. Get on into how a corporation is to be named. They gave it a last name. We're going to talk about two words here. These two words, part of the way that they have brought us in to what they have done through deceit and through fraud. Constitution clearly sits here and shows when they created this thing that Congress only has the power to deal and levy with commerce and to tax commerce. That is all the authority that Congress has. They never had the right to create laws against the American people. No place in the Constitution under Article 1, Section 8, of where their power lies that gives them the authority to create laws against you and I. Now, how did we get involved in this? Very simple. Whenever the charter started in 1665 in order to build the colonies over here, the word charter was defined as a corporation. We assumed that whenever the colonies come over, that the names that they had, Carolinas, Delaware, New Jersey, Connecticut, Virginia, that these were names of states. They were names of companies. These were companies that come over from England to start a business, to start sending revenue back to the king. This hasn't changed. The moment they used the word charter, it meant corporation. We talked here earlier, whenever we had the revolution, we got into our own constitution. They now created Carolina, Virginia, Delaware, 13 colonies, they gave them the name but put the word state of in front of instead of charter or company. They listed them out as a state, but they still kept the charter that went into the Treaty of Paris and into the Treaty of Peace as a treaty. Our Articles of Confederation, our Constitution, has a clause that all treaties have to be upheld. They are supreme law of the land. This is how they kept the corporation name of Carolina, Virginia, Delaware, and these other colonies. That's how they kept the corporation alive in this country. They knew they couldn't get rid of it, so they slipped it in under a treaty. Well, here in 1899, dealing with the Corporate Trust Company of America, dealing with Delaware Trust, dealing with Wilmington Trust, whenever they went up before the legislation in Delaware, they redefined the term corporation to have the same meaning and the same standing as a living, breathing human being. They gave a corporation the same identity as you and I, where this corporation has the same standing. It holds the same position as any living, breathing human being. That's how they named the corporation. Now, with us understanding how they did the corporation in order to give it the same standing as a living, breathing human being, as a natural person, all they had to do is go back in and redefine the term person. Now, we have all talked, it's in Black's Law, it's in the codes, the term person is replied to as a corporation. Whenever you have one group of people in control of the language of this country, you've got one group of people that is redefining definitions of words to be misused that holds the power in a courtroom. This is where the problem's coming in at. Because we have roughly 85 to 90% of our public officials that is sitting in these public offices are all our people. If they control the three branches of government, they also control the definitions of our language. So if they go back in and they define a corporation to be a living, breathing human being in the same natural sense as a real person, they gave it the same standing, then they turn around and define the term person as a corporation. They're using these words interchangeably within the legal system. Knowing that they cannot create laws against us, they went back in and created laws that pertains to a corporation. Every one of our statutes all falls back under corporation by definition. It is the way that they went back in and interchanged the words to mean the same as the other one. So if you're talking corporation, you're talking person. If you're talking person, you're talking corporation. They very cleverly slipped this in on you and I. This is why when we go into these courtrooms, they don't want us going in and arguing. They want us to hire one of their people because they know if we hire one of their people, they are going to keep the fraud going.